Hi, I'm Beverly Banor Brown. I'm an intuitive, a life and relationship coach. I do intuitive readings. I also do love mentoring. And many of the people over the last 30 years or so that I've been doing this wonderful enterprise, which I still cherish just as much today, if not more, than when I started back in New York City in the 80s, really has shown me that many relationships are plagued by something we've come to define as stonewalling. So the title of my topic today is Narcissistic Relationships, Narcissists' Favorite Approach to Avoiding Intimacy with You, Stonewalling. To define stonewalling requires us to look at a number of different things that occur in the behavior of energy vampires and drama queens and drama kings. And it varies with each person because, of course, as I've said before, if you've seen some of my other videos, we always have to remember that each person is absolutely unique. Though many of the situations may have similarities which cause these behaviors, each person is different. Each one is coping the best way they know how, however dysfunctional it may seem, however much unrest and disquietude, agitation and aggravation it may cause for those people who have the growth opportunity, shall we say, of dealing with them. Stonewalling, basically, as I am currently using the term, means avoiding intimacy by acting like a stone wall. A steel curtain has come down and they disappear on you. They abandon whatever conversation you are having, whatever conversation you're hoping to have. They will often disappear on you quite literally and do ghosting practices where they just don't respond to your letters, phone calls, emails, texts. And if they're actually in the same room with you, and I'm going to offer an example or two in a minute, they'll invent an excuse to leave, or they'll invite somebody else in who's not involved in the private conversation and in front of whom you cannot have the important discussion that you are hoping for. Let me give you an example. I've worked with clients, one in particular who I'm thinking of right now, many years past, who was in the midst of discussing a situation that was pivotally important in the relationship she had with her husband. He had been lying. He had promised that he had paid certain bills, which was one of his chores to do. It was overdue. She had received a phone call and or I believe a message in the mail about this. And when she mentioned it to him, he lied and said that he'd already paid it and it must be their mistake, how incompetent they were, how this sort of thing could only happen with people who don't know what they're doing, and he went on a whole diatribe against the company. This, after so many years with him, was just another red flag to her that, in fact, he'd been caught red-handed. He had not done what he had said he would do. He had not followed through properly. And now he was doing a smokescreen and stonewalling and denying it. She scheduled a time at home later in the day because she had called him about this from work when she hoped that they would be able to sit down and discuss this. And she knew better than to confront him directly. So she said to him something to the effect, in a very respectful, soft-spoken way, "There must have been some sort of a glitch. Perhaps you thought that I was going to pay that bill, and they never got the payment, and now we're in arrears, and there are late fees and what have you." And he did a stonewall technique to avoid having to take any responsibility, to avoid having to acknowledge that, in fact, he had been caught red-handed, once again, in diverting money that they had both contributed from their work to something else, which probably had more to do with his hedonistic private actions than anything to do with something that would have created a better life for both of them. So what did he do to Stonewall in this particular case? What he did to Stonewall was they had an exchange student from another country who was visiting with them, and the child was not a child, late teens, who was having a semester at college but staying in their home, came in for a moment. He called her in and asked her to sit down and talk with them, and said they hadn't had enough chance to visit in the last few days, and he felt guilty about that. Clearly, this was his way, as he did so many other ways, to Stonewall, to create a situation where he knew his wife was not going to be discussing their financial situation in front of their guest. This is one very minor example of stonewalling. Sometimes stonewalling takes other forms. For example, a kind of selective memory, where you've discussed something you've been both looking forward to do, you thought, but the truth is only you were looking forward to it with great anticipation. And when the day of the event comes, your partner or prospective partner says to you, when you mention how happy you are at the thought of tonight we're going to go do such and such, he says, I don't know what you're talking about. I made plans to go bowling with my friends, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm not deviating from that. So why don't you get one of your girlfriends to come with you, and you go have a good time, and I'll go do my bowling. And other things happen which give you the very clear idea that you are not a priority. Whatever is important to you is not important to them. If you think you're going to have any real intimacy, any real deep conversations, any real interchange of experiences that mean more than just a talk about the weather or what you had last night for dinner at a restaurant, or maybe if you're very lucky, if it doesn't bring up too much that's too private for him or her, as the case may be, maybe you've seen a movie or a play together and they'll have a usually very superficial conversation about it with you. It often doesn't last long, and usually the longer they've known you, the more they tend to put down whatever your opinions are about the film, about the play, about whatever it is that you're excited about. Stonewalling. It is a red flag, one of so many, that comes in the beginning of a relationship also, to let you know that unless you're wearing rose-colored glasses, you've got a troublesome potential partner, and you'd really better, if you want to have a happy life and a good partnership, be sure to evaluate how is this person really showing up? How does it feel to you energetically, emotionally, spiritually? To be in a situation where you are not being honored, you're not being recognized, and you are repeatedly having situations occur where he's disappearing on you. Sometimes it's a physical disappearance. I've worked with clients who've shared with me that in the midst of a wonderful conversation, something would be said that displeased the energy vampire or the narcissist, and it just was like somebody put a hot seat under him, and he got up, he took out his car keys, and he said, oh, I forgot some papers at the office, I'll be back, and left with a whole plate full of dinner still waiting, left with plans for later in the evening for them to go out, disappeared for hours, didn't come back, no call, no text, with the partner sitting there, mystified, sitting there, feeling betrayed and abandoned, feeling, quite rightly, I believe, that there really just was no way to reach this person at that time. This is typical. There are many, many more examples I could offer you. I think you get the message. Stonewalling. What do you do as a response that will be honoring your integrity and your dignity, and will be letting the other person know that you're not available for this kind of treatment. So let me share a few golden nuggets that I hope will help you. Golden nugget number 1, and maybe the most important of all the golden nuggets for today, realize that this is the other person's issue. This has nothing to do with you. It started long before he knew your name, long before he probably even knew how to write his own name. Golden nugget number 2, do not take this personally. Golden nugget number 3, allow yourself to feel all of the feelings and examine where you may be kidding yourself by wearing the rose-colored glasses and not seeing that if you want a relationship where there is clear communication, where there can be a level of intimacy, you may have to move on. I'm Beverly Banor Brown. I hope that you found this to be helpful. Until next time, bye for now.